Okay, good evening, everybody. Great to be here and contributing to TEDxBITSGoa. So I'm going to talk about your own D company. I think the first thing comes to your mind when you think of D company is this movie, right? So sorry to disappoint you. I'm not going to talk about Underworld and gangsters and that movie actually. I'm going to talk about the other D company. Is clicker working? It's about the big D that all of you have, and I had as a kid too. It's about the big dreams, right? So, how many of you have very wild, big, ambitious dreams here? A lot of hands going up, right? So, when you think about big dreams, there are few other D's have to accompany to make the dream a reality. I'm going to talk about those D's through my life journey. And to start off, so I was a tier 3 small town kid, a very ordinary kid, but with extraordinary dreams. Most times dreaming about big things I want to become. I studied in a vernacular medium in a government school with fully funded. And then I went on to go to the best college I knew within my cohort, which was in my hometown. When I went there, two things happened. The first thing is that, of course, one of the best thing happened was that from a boys' school into co-education, you're going to study with girls. That's a good thing. But there's one difficult thing happened. So far, I've been studying in Tamil. Suddenly, I realized that entire teaching and the syllabus is in English. So anybody from vernacular medium here would understand how difficult that can be. And also, you've been a school topper. You go in, you are in front of all the toppers, and then you're struggling. What did I do? So I had a small dictionary. I used to kind of translate everything. And it took me a good 1 year to even stand up and confidently answer any question the professor was asking. Right? So from there, actually building on to some of these dreams I had to become a CEO, a startup CEO, to become a successful corporate leader. I had a fortunate to work with organizations like Wipro, Intel, and Cisco. And I grew in my corporate career, and I also became a marathoner, which was unthinkable. For a kid who only knew gilli danda and possibly street cricket at best, I went on to become a marathoner. And I was on fire. What do you mean by fire? Financially independent, retire early. In fact, as a kid, I always thought that I want to become rich. I want to become very rich. I didn't understand what that meant. But today I can tell you that being rich means that you have financial security to meet all your responsibilities. And apart from that, are you able to sort of have time for yourself to pursue your passion? That's what this fire is all about. And once I became financially independent and could kind of exercise my choices, I started spending more and more time on philanthropy. How did a tier 3 kid with a vernacular medium standing here talking to you had big dreams? Some of them are daydreaming. I'm sure that some of you also have some dreams to daydreaming. How did all this happen? What was the secret sauce which helped me to kind of realize all my dreams is what going to be the talk about. The one thing I realized very early in my life is the magic of compounding. And I don't know how many of you know this story. Even if you know the story, it is worth listening to it 64 times because it is that good. There was this king long time ago. He had done whatever needs to be achieved. He told that anybody could solve for my boredom. I will give them any amount of, muh manga inam diya jayega. So there is a very smart sage. Legend has it that this sage invented this chess game. And the king was so happy. So happy, he said that, look, I'm willing to give you any gift because you solved for my biggest problem. The sage asked, I asked for a very simple thing. You give me 1 grain of wheat for every square in the chessboard and keep doubling it for the next square and the next square all the way to 64 squares. The king asked, are you sure? Such a simple thing. He said, yeah. Then king started calling his ministers to start, putting all these grains. What happens? Those of you who can do the math very quickly understand. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. By the time 14th or 15th square happened, you realize that the amount of grains needed was growing and growing. If you actually go on to fill the grains to the 64th square, that will be 210 billion tons. Yes, it will be as big as filling 1 meter of, wheat grains across all over India, bigger than Mount Everest. That's the magic of compounding when things double every small period. Lucky enough that I learned this magic of compounding, which is the eighth wonder in the world, very early in my life. Now, with that knowledge, I started applying that very early on in my investing, apart from working. And I said that what if I apply this formula on a daily basis for anything I do, whatever my dreams, which could be health, wealth, happiness, fitness, whatever it is. And if I add 3 Ds to it, which is discipline, dedication, and determination. Then what happens is if you improve 1% a day, you become in 365 days almost 38 times better than what you were. But if you are distracted, if you are dopamine addicted, you are going to lose that advantage on a daily basis, and you will be just 0.03% of what you are. A lot of people know a lot of things. Perhaps you people have a lot more access than what I had with the social media, with the reels and the YouTube, whatnot. But you do not have one fundamental, if you don't have, you should have, is the discipline of executing what you are learning. And if you're applying it on an everyday basis, you obviously become better and better by the day. So the first time, I wanted to try something which I've never done before, which is, I was a couch potato. I never knew anything about sports. I was about 33, 34, second child, like a nice uncle with a big belly, eating pizzas, you can see, all those things. Then I realized that, look, what does it take for me to run a marathon? Unheard of. 42 kilometers, how do you run? So I started by doing a very simple practice of 1 kilometer walk or a brisk walk and a slight jog every day. Within a year, I could do from 1 to 5 to 10 kilometers. Within the second year, I could do 21 kilometers. I think within the third year or so, I could actually run a marathon. As I stand in front of you, I've done 25 full marathons. And I was official timer for recently concluded Mumbai Marathon under 4 hours. I ran 50-kilometer ultra marathon. I've done 100-kilometer ultra marathon. I thought, quote unquote, I was doing a lot. Last year, I was 47. On my birthday, I took a promise to myself that, hey, what about triathlon? I don't know anything about swimming. 47-year-old trying to learn swimming. It's very funny. In fact, I was so scared of water. I could not do 125-meter pool length once. Using the same D company with discipline and dedication, I started from first managing to learn how to swim 1 lap, then 2 laps, 3 laps, 10 laps. I recently, I think 2 months back, I did a Olympic triathlon, which is 1.5 kilometer open water swimming, 40 kilometer cycling and 10 kilometer running, right? So the reason I'm sharing this with you is that it is something which I've never done before. At an age, typically people try to say, I'm done with life. I'm happy, let me enjoy what I have, right? So D company really, really works when you apply in anything. So I'm sure most of you, I think some of you has been speaking, wanted to learn a little bit about the startup journey. So because I learned the magic of compounding, applied to my own life, at the age of 40, I became financially independent. I wanted to share that to the rest of the world. So Scriptbox, I took a mission as a co-founder and CEO saying that how can I make 1 million people, at least in India, to become financially independent, financially secure. I started the journey in 2015. And, while I think there's a lot of success and prizes and awards about Scriptbox, I want to go back to the very early days. We were a Bangalore-based startup, fintech company. Wealth tech was happening that time. And we had a lot of customers in Bangalore, friends, relatives. And it's very easy to get, if you have a good product, to become successful very quickly. But what was the problem is that I wanted to basically scale Scriptbox, all India. So one of the goals I had was that how many pin codes are there in India? 19,011 pin codes. I set a goal as a CEO saying that can we have one customer at least for Scriptbox in 19,011 pin codes. It took us 36 months to get there. What it did to us is that we had 1 to 3 customers in every pin code, and that virality helped us, to really scale Scriptbox very, very quickly. The lesson number one is that the D company comes into play whether you're running a startup, whether it's coming health or fitness. The second big lesson I learned in the startup is that everybody is not your customer. A lot of you trying to build a startup said that, I want to build for everybody. I want to build for the world. Let me tell you that it's the biggest learning I had that you need to have your customer segmentation right. You need to build for your square of customers really deeply and thoroughly and comprehensively so that that particular segment of customers really love you. Some of your biscuits, for example, a great brand like Britannia, what do? Atta or maida, sugar, and butter mixed in a different percentages, cuts in different shape, wrapped in a different things, and one is targeted at senior citizens, one brand is targeted at children, one is targeted at, let's say, college students. You go to your canteen, I saw multiple of such options. Segmentation is very, very key when you're building, especially a consumer startup. And the other important thing is that I want all the features from day one. I want the best features. Go back to your remote, which you see every day from childhood. That remote, I don't know how many of you remember, you pretty much use 3 functions: on, off, volume up, down, or channel change. I don't know any of you understand what other buttons do. The saying goes that simplicity is the ultimate complication. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. How do you build that sophistication and simplicity is the biggest learning. As we build the product, we kind of kept it very simple. Even today, if you go to our website, it's very, very simple. I think the reason I'm sharing this couple of insights is that some of you have dreams to build a startup, have these basics very, very right. I think it took me a long time to realize that you need to have lesser number of things to focus on a daily basis. Similarly, in a startup, you need to have, lesser number of things, lesser number of features to be focused on. Incidentally, even for customers, if you give too many choices, they can't decide. It becomes a decision cognitive load for them to decide. So less is more for the customer, less is more for you, right? So as I had a very fulfilling corporate journey, as I had a fulfilling startup journey, and also in a permanent pursuit of being an endurance sports enthusiast, I think at some stage I realized that I need to give back. So in the year 2020, just before COVID, me and my wife took a giving pledge where we decided to give half our wealth to charity. Because my simple thing is that if I am seeing people like Bill Gates, Warren Buffett as examples, as role models, I don't need to have that much money to give back. I need to have, even if I have small, I can give back. So that's why we took a pledge, which means that during our lifetime or after our lifetime, half the money, whatever we have as a net worth, goes back to charity. Then we also took one more decision that one of us also will go work in the social impact sector, right? I joined Give India as the president of Give India just before COVID and scaled that NGO like the way we scale a startup. From 100,000 people they were impacting, we took it to 2 million beneficiaries. I think COVID times were very difficult for everybody. In fact, I lost my father too. So right from mobilizing resources and kind of making sure that all parts of the country get the benefit. And that's the time, actually, it became really, really humbling experience for me. I said, sometimes we are never santusht, we are never happy with what we have. I think the more time I spent, I got a really, really, bird's eye view of really seeing that if you have 3 meals a day, you have a place to stay, you have clothes to wear, you are 1% of the world. A lot of people don't have it, right? In fact, it made me happier. I think the true joy is in giving, right? And off late, what I'm doing in the recent days, I'm actually working with an organization called Satwa, where I'm trying to build more philanthropists. How do you make more people, ultra HNI people, to give back, right? And incidentally, Satwa has an interesting connection to this great institution. And the founders of Satwa are Bitshians. So, in many ways, coming here and, doing this conversation with all of you is also a proud moment for, my other partners at Satwa, right? I think the sometimes as an entrepreneur, we want to solve the most complex problem, which has the most challenges, right? I think the biggest sector which has got unlimited supply of complex problem is social sector. I think some of you are considering, can talk offline with me, to kind of look at social sector and social tech for good, also as an opportunity where you can solve not just for profit, but for impact, right? So in the essence, the way I would like to conclude my speech is that you need to have the D company and that any dream, small or big, audacious, really, really big, you want to put the man in the moon and bring back, that kind of a dream, whatever dream you have, it needs to be accompanied with 3 more Ds, like a 3D movie, right? Not a 2D, not a 4D, like a 3D movie. You need to have the discipline to stay committed and executing on a daily basis. You need to have a serious dedication and determination, come what may, I will do it. With these 3 Ds, no dream is impossible, right? So on that note, I just want to ask all of you a question. Are you ready to incorporate your own D company? I see many hands going up. Great. Thank you. That's my time.